Well, hey, everybody, welcome to another edition of Another Fine Mess. I'm Roger Gray along with Mike Vance. How are you, sir?
Doing fine. That was my
Yeah.
Looney Tunes cartoon pose right there. For
Oh,
those of you,
thought you were doing jazz
yes, for those of
hands
you listening
for us. Yeah.
and not watching. So,
Okay. Anyhow, good to have you with us, everybody. Let's so much going on. Let's start with all the primaries and what's happening, particularly on the Democratic side. Big win in Michigan for he's not technically. I don't think he claims to be one of the Democratic Socialists, but Mr. El Sayed
correct.
is the candidate for the Senate.
Yep. And excuse me. Michigan, of course, has the largest Arab population, Arab descended population in the country by a long margin. And
Oh
he
yeah.
was born here of Egyptian immigrant parents. Public health doctor, and apparently, and I'll admit, I have not watched a lot of his sound bites, but everything that I'm reading says that he is a fantastic guy on the campaign trail, great
Yeah.
communicator. So we'll see. It'll be very interesting. One of the big issues in the campaign was not so much Israel itself, although that was a big thing, but the fact that his opponent, Ms. Stevens, got a bunch of money, $30 million from the American Israeli PAC.
And that has come up. I know he was interviewed on MS Now on a fairly liberal channel, and they said, "What do you have to say to Jewish voters, of whom there are many in Michigan?" So it can be a problem if you lean to, if if you lean on Netanyahu, that's one thing. If you lean on Israel in general, in terms of campaigning, it's going to raise some red flags about your feelings toward anti-Semitism.
Well, yeah. What was his answer? What did he have to say?
Um, Basically, that my problem is with the country's actions, not with the people and all of that sort of thing. But as I mentioned, I think it was Carville who said, if you're explaining, you're losing. You have to make it clear right up front. And good Lord, Netanyahu has made Israel, one man has made Israel one of the most unpopular countries in the world. From a land that started as full of hope, and everybody except the Arabs were on their side, and a lot of sympathy generated by the history and all of that. To go from that to this, to being almost universally hated, that's quite an accomplishment.
Well, I don't want to get away from the Michigan, what may happen.
I understand. I
But
understand.
right now in this country, we have one man who has made us one of the least popular countries on the planet. And I was
It can
reading
happen.
yesterday a report about opinion polls around the globe, and they broke it down by country. China is outpolling the United States in popularity in every single nation that was polled, and there were 24 of them. Every single one. Canada has the people in Canada have a much higher opinion of China than they do the United States. All around the globe, Sweden, much higher opinion of China than the United States. Indonesia was an interesting one because they've never had a good opinion of the United States, but at least China and Indonesia, China and the U.S. in Indonesia were really close 2 years ago, and now the gap is like this.
Yeah, it doesn't take much, and I have to say, and yes, I want to get back to Michigan and Wisconsin as well, Miss Hong. Um, uh, it if Putin wanted to undermine America's standing in the world, he couldn't do any better than what's being done right now.
Yeah,
and there's a mountain of evidence that they helped in the campaign. Not necessarily cooperating with the Trump campaign, but they certainly helped. They had a favorite, and they're accomplishing at least one of their goals, and that's a little disturbing.
Well,
But let's go ahead.
I was just going to say the fact that we have done everything possible. The United States used to have, even with China's advantages in various areas, the United States had the edge in science and technology. That was the one thing we had going for us, is we were the best at that. We're not anymore, because he has single-handedly, well, with Project 2025 behind him, they have cut everything for the sciences. They are stopping all of these immigrant scientists and doctors that were coming into the country.
Yeah, they're going to Europe and Asia now.
So he's destroyed that lead that we had in that one area. Foreign aid was the other one that I would put right up there at the top. That is a goodwill builder around the world, including that AIDS program that George Bush started in Africa. And all that, poof, gone.
Yeah, it's called soft diplomacy, and we've just basically given that up. Now it's we'll bomb you if you don't, act correctly.
So back to Michigan.
Back to Michigan. Okay, so you got your progressive win there. There is a young woman who is running for governor of Wisconsin nearby, and named Francesca Hong. And Mike, this is what frustrates me, at least, about this new democratic socialist movement, just as it frustrates Carville. They don't understand the practical realities, I think, sometimes of American politics. Most battles are fought between the 20-yard lines. You got your extremes on both sides, and when you run down a list of things that she prioritizes, Francesca Hong is her name. She is a state rep, I believe, and it's stuff most people would say, yeah, help me out there. It's school lunches, it's childcare, it's and on and on down a laundry list of consumer issues that matter to people. Then she'll go into stuff like, we need to eliminate Thanksgiving. Have you heard that one?
Well,
because it celebrates colonialism. Well,
look,
really?
Look, that is not going to be one of her big. She's not going to run commercials based on eliminating Thanksgiving. So,
but her opponents will.
Fine.
That's the problem.
Then she keeps talking about the stuff that's important. Presumably, she will have campaign advisors that are going to steer her in the right direction. Everybody has everybody, without exception, has stuff that they wish they had not said. So the opponents always, on both sides, works both directions, are going to attack the things and pick at the things that they think are vulnerabilities. Mm-hmm. The key is to not capitalize, not keep repeating them over and over and over, not keep handing that ammunition to your opponent. Like the Democrats have done in the past with transgender issues that, again, honestly, don't matter to most people. But the independents, the polling is clear that the independents do not want to hear about it. So, they need to
there
talk
are
about
bigger fish to fry.
And I think most Democrats are doing that right now. El Sayed.
Well, and that's what they need.
Yeah, El Sayed in Michigan made a big deal, and it is making a big deal about universal health care, which I think if he can talk about it
Medicare for all.
Yeah, if he can talk about correctly and talk about the fact that we pay exponentially more in health care with worse outcomes than every other civilized or first world country around the world. I take back that civilized comment, but you know what I'm saying. But
well, we've both been to France, so yeah, you have to qualify.
Yeah, dude, I'd move there in a second. love France.
And that's a good example. Medicare for all, or some sort of a single payer health system, makes so much more sense than what we're doing. And I talked to. I did an interview with a cancer doctor up in Tyler when I was working up there, and he told me, "Do you know how many people I have in the back office that I have to pay to deal with all the different health insurance companies?" He said, "If I just had one payment to make or one payment to get, I know what it's going to be. It's been negotiated. Medicare and Canada and other countries that we have single payer here, by the way. Medicare is single payer.
Yeah.
And it works, by the way. As a recipient, I can tell you it works. He said my life would be so much simpler, and the life of my patients would be so much simpler, and it would be cheaper too.
Yeah.
So
We spend,
yeah,
if I remember right, the next country behind us is maybe Norway, in what they spend on healthcare per capita, and we are a third in cost, a full third ahead of them, ahead of the second place country in what they spend.
Well, and yes, a lot of the countries that have national health care, it's not free. No matter what
nobody's
opponents
saying it's
want to
free.
say, it's
Yeah.
not free. You pay for it in your taxes. But unlike United Health or Blue Cross or whatever, they can't drop you. They can't play games with pre-existing conditions, etc. The limitations are right there up front. If you wanted to, and the usual argument is, well, you have to wait forever for a procedure. Have you made a doctor's appointment for something big recently? You will wait.
Yep.
Here. Yeah.
I have a cousin in the hospital. I have a cousin in the hospital right now because she called in with something 3 months ago. And by the time that she actually got to the appointment, they're like, you need to go in the hospital right now. It's like, yeah, no shit. That's why I called 3 months ago.
Exactly. So this is great. You mentioned France. When an ambulance comes to your house in France, there's not an EMT on board. There's a doctor. That's the law. An actual MD has to be on that ambulance, not just a medical tech. And those are great men and women. Don't get me wrong, but they're not doctors. And it's that kind of thing that just it makes so much more sense.
Well, they're not trying to make a profit for insurance companies that are making trillions collectively in profit.
All the incentives here go the wrong way.
Yeah, we do not have a healthcare system at all. We have an insurance system in this country.
Yeah.
So maybe El Said can can get that across. And
Francesca, talk about healthcare. Leave Thanksgiving alone. Everybody loves Thanksgiving. Yeah.
Which people will argue, there are people that have a good case that the first Thanksgiving took place near El Paso, Texas.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's a great story. I'll tell you about that some other time. But it was a good 40 years before the Pilgrims landed in Massachusetts.
Well, obviously it did not involve English-speaking pilgrims. Yeah. All right. Something just real quick that tells you everything you need to know about this administration. Mark Wayne, John Boy, Billy Bob Mullen, our new head of Homeland Security. Okay, and there is very little good to say about this guy. He's just not really up to it. But he gave a speech. I don't know if you read about this. He gave a speech that ticked off the president and the all of his followers, like that shambling mess. Steve
Bannon.
What's his name? Thank you, Steve Bannon. Mullen he gave a speech and he talked about, yes, we have to control immigration, and yes, we're sending people back and all of that. But he said also, we're kidding ourselves if we don't realize that there are industries that do need labor, and it is provided by. But we need to control it, and we need to regulate it. We need to. It sounds a lot like what the Bracero program under Reagan, and or was that under
Now
Reagan?
that
I think
that
it was under Reagan.
dated back
Anyway,
to FDR actually, and was gone.
that's yeah,
It was
yeah,
gone under
but
by LBJ. It was gone.
yeah, but regulate the labor because construction, farmers, the healthcare industry, the service industry, they all depend on immigrant labor, and he made that point, and he caught holy hell for it.
Well, Laura Loomer's
For
lips
that,
exploded, actually, from what I understand, and killed
I
three
think
people. Killed the boom, killed three people. Bystanders gone.
I know, standing far too
Yep.
close.
But
But yeah, a reasonable point like that, even.
Mark Wayne is from Oklahoma, and God knows Oklahoma
Yeah,
is not Texas in any way, shape, or form. But
thank heaven.
they have a lot of agriculture operations, and he led by talking about those ag operations. And I would imagine that he's hearing from people that were his constituents from Oklahoma that are talking about we're hurting because we do not have the workforce that we need.
Well, it's one of those cases where usually it's used against him. You know, he's not qualified. He was a plumber. He has an associate's degree in like construction management or something like that. But maybe this is one of those times where being a blue collar guy, there are plenty of times where being a blue collar guy is going to serve you well in government because you know what the problems really are. You're not just operating on emotion and get all those foreigners out of here.
Yeah, I mean, and construction industry is the other one that is really, really hurting from loss of
Sure.
workers. You know, right up there at the top of the needs list. Lawyers are very important in making laws, obviously, but they should not be the only voice in making laws. And I have absolutely zero. I'm a member of two unions, by the way, and have been in one of them for
Ah,
45 years. Thank you. We need good union people, which he is not, but we need blue collar people weighing in on all these laws as well. So I got no problem with that whatsoever.
we're out of missiles in Iran. You know that. 80% of our interceptor missiles have been used. So if anything crops up anywhere else in the world, we're SOL.
Yeah, that seems to be a problem in Ukraine as well,
Yeah.
which a lot of those were our missiles that we had sent over there. But Russia has just been pounding Kyiv over and over and over, and it's because they can't stop those missiles. So yeah, it's an issue.
Well, and what has been explained to death is because their standard excuse is, well, Biden hadn't given away all our missiles. What was given to Ukraine was old
Yeah,
stock. It was stuff that was going to be retired. The F-16s they got were veteran aircraft, great airplane, wonderful airplane, but these were older models that were not frontline U.S. fighter planes, and as happens quite often with military aid, you clean out the old stuff first, and that's pretty much what Ukraine got, and they've done well with it, frankly.
yeah. The big thing that I've noticed we should at least mention is that the talks, of course, as always, we got Trump sitting there going, "Well, we're very close on talks," and then the
Yeah.
Iranians are like,
Next 24 hours will make a big
"Yeah," and
difference.
then the
Yeah.
stock market goes up, and then the stock market comes back down, and the Iranians the whole time are like, "We're not talking to them." I don't know what that lunatic saying. We're not talking to them at all. But the Iranians,
Well, they are talking to
and that's where
they're
we're
talking
going.
to
Yeah, yeah, they're talking to
yeah,
Oman. So what do you make of that?
about a toll, each way toll for the Strait of Hormuz,
Yeah,
which Trump
which
keeps
was free,
mispronouncing.
which was free and open. And for those of you listening, I'm
Yes.
leaning in on the microphone to make my point. Free and open before he started this absolutely pointless and idiotic war. So yeah, they're
Well, also these pronouncements, by the way, lead us into another subject, which is the president is now selling advanced knowledge of what he's going to post on social media, which quite often, you notice when he said we're near, the talks are getting close again, price of oil went down. Stock market boomed. Oil went down. When it turns up to be nothing, oil will go back up, I'm sure, as it has been. But he is now selling for $100,000 a month information, basically insider information. This is insider trading done out in the open,
well, everything.
and he's making a ton of money
Yeah,
on it.
he is a piece of filth. Let me be clear. He is an absolute corrupt con man piece of filth. But our system is rigged in that direction. Elon Musk announced he is giving $100 million to Republican candidates because his interest, he doesn't want, much like and we're going to get into Todd Blanche and the whole IRS thing in just a second, but Musk, his whole idea behind cutting all these government programs was cutting the programs that were investigating him over the trillions of dollars that he has, hundreds of billions of which came from the United States taxpayers. So, he's pretending.
SpaceX,
Yeah,
EVs, et
it's
cetera. Yeah.
all money. If we could eliminate money from politics, like several other countries have, that would get rid of. Well, we would have single payer health care because that's what stopped it during Truman when he proposed it in the first place. But any issue, it all traces back to the money, and it's open. It's
Sure.
open bribery. So quite honestly, selling insider trading information, yeah, it's reprehensible. But how far off is it from the system of bribery we have in this country already?
Well, I mean, and if we, and no doubt, if we had a functional Congress, somebody would be looking into this, but we don't, so they aren't, and the president will continue to sell insider information. I mean, my gosh, Martha Stewart went to prison for this
Yeah.
crap. So, for much less than, I think she overheard something at a cocktail party or something like that. So,
It was a very well curated cocktail
this is-
party.
yeah, no doubt. So this will just go under the radar. Why somebody, if we have all of these liberal news outlets, so they claim, why is somebody not raising the roof over this?
Well, it's the fire hose effect. It's the throw out so much stuff that you're not going to pay attention to what really matters to him, and that is stuffing more money into his pockets. Todd Blanche, speaking of stuffing
Yes.
more money into the president's pockets,
Stuffing money. Yeah.
I am fed up with anybody claiming that John Cornyn or Tom Tillis somehow grew a
Yeah.
spine. Number one, as we talked about last week, it didn't matter because Blanche could continue as the interim forever, and it just didn't matter. But this IRS deal that they have signed off on, which is no legally binding document to begin with, the weaponization fund, he said, "Yo, we're not going to do that." Okay, well, he put that in an email or scribbled it on the back of a cocktail napkin. It is not a legally binding document. He could turn around and immediately start that up again. They can write those checks to all the January 6th rioters without calling it part of any fund. They've already done some of that, paying off his cronies. But the IRS thing is just ridiculous. He is getting, the only thing that they have allegedly stopped is future audits. There was one already pending that involved $100 million. But they have made, by all estimates, between $2 and $4 billion, this they being his immediate family, since he took office 18 months ago. $2 and $4 billion. So now that is effectively tax free.
Oh, yeah. Well, also, all of this began with a lawsuit over an IRS leak. The fact of the matter is, there was a big IRS leak, and I forget the year, that involved lots of taxpayers.
Thousands.
Their information, yeah, got out. Nobody else is suing the IRS that I'm aware of. Excuse me. There were a couple of companies whose information, large corporations whose information got out. They settled for, I think, an apology, and I mean, nothing like Trump asking for $10 billion.
This was a scam from day one. It was set up as a scam,
Yep.
and it was organized by lawyers that probably included Todd Blanche acting as a
Sure.
personal lawyer to begin with. So, the hope that will probably never be realized is that someday he will go to prison for this kind of ridiculous bullshit.
Yeah. By the way, Jeanine Pirro is in trouble. She did not ultimately prosecute the man accused of messing with the reflecting pool. As a matter of fact, she made the unforgivable announcement that yes, the problem wasn't vandalism, it was improper installation.
Yeah. So he yelled at her
And
for
the
telling
case was
truth.
dropped.
Yeah. So
Yeah. And now she's apparently on the ragged edge of being fired.
that wouldn't hurt my feelings at all. But on the other hand,
I understand.
when is somebody going to go after the man who committed vandalism by tearing down the East Wing or ripping up the South Lawn?
Indeed. Real quickly, we have fires burning everywhere. The president wants to get revenge on Canada with tariffs. Meanwhile, I told you before we started, I talked to my daughter who lives up in Washington now. She said the Canadian smoke it had pretty much cleared away up there, and now the fires in Washington. She said, this is the worst I've ever seen. Well, who's he going to blame for this? Who do you punish for this? Except Washington's a blue state.
Well,
Yeah.
when California had all their wildfires, it was because they weren't raking their national forests. So,
And by the way, we should point out Canada sent firefighters and equipment to help California. And the actual comment from the minister in charge was, "That's what neighbors do."
yeah. I want to talk about something else he's dismantling, and that is a Head Start program.
Yep.
There is apparently an administration for children and families, and I'm assuming that's somewhere in the Health and Human Services department up there. But at any rate, they've tried to cut Head Start a while back, and Congress, back when Congress had a backbone, said no, we are not doing that. Head Start is a program that dates back to LBJ. It is designed to give preschool and kindergarten to poor families that otherwise would not be able to afford that. Somewhere north of 30 million children have gone through that program.
It works.
Yes, it does work. Ronald Reagan gave them $1 billion raise back in the day. George Bush revamped George W. Revamped the program, put in another $1 billion. Trump himself, in his first term, raised the budget for Head Start. But then Project 2025 came in, and they want to get rid of Head Start because it is, quote, radical indoctrination, end quote. And one of the things at the top of the list of why they call this radical indoctrination, and I am not making this up, is because they use Sesame Street as part of the curriculum. I am not making that up.
Okay.
So their answer is to deregulate everything. So in other words, there will be
Goes back to the
yes,
states.
goes back
Yeah.
to the states. The states currently, none of them have anything in place because it was all a federal program. So they will all have to come up with a way to keep this going. I mean, they teach kids things like brushing their teeth, for crying out loud. But Sesame Street, radical indoctrination.
Well, Big Bird has been a fellow traveler for years, so. And don't get me started on Kermit.
Just
And for heaven's sakes, don't tell them they're teaching them Arabic numerals.
It's just mind-boggling.
That
The
that'll kill the whole thing.
the
Yeah.
absolute hatred in this administration.
Mike, believe it or not, we are. I'm looking at the time. No, we're
Yeah.
okay. We're okay.
Yeah,
Never mind. I was thinking we were getting close.
We haven't talked about the car thing, and you're a car guy.
I was about to start there. Yeah. You want to talk about EVs, electric vehicles?
Yeah, because this came from an article that was fascinating, and you probably know this, and you should explain a little bit about how far back your car bona fides happen to go.
Oh well, okay. Yeah, I have been writing auto reviews. Well, I don't do them anymore, but because the manufacturers don't send as many around. But I've been writing auto reviews since pretty much the '80s. Weekly car review. Got a new car every week. It's a great deal, Mike. You recall when we were doing
yeah.
radio, I was still getting the
Yeah.
cars. And every week there's a new shiny new something from somebody sitting in the station parking lot, and I would write and/or ultimately on TV produce an auto review. I have friends in the industry. After we sold our radio station in Houston, where I was a partner, I even did PR for General Motors for a couple of years. Good friends still, and good friends at all the manufacturers, as a matter of fact. So, yeah, I'm a big car guy. Just our anniversary was last weekend, and Karen got a car for a gift. It's our 44th, and we picked it up earlier this week. So it's not new, but what can I tell you? Anyhow, I love the car biz. It's ultimately going to go electric. We probably don't like it. I don't know if we talked about it, but I wrote about the fact that they're putting in fake stick shifts. They are being offered. Toyota has actually copyrighted a fake manual gearbox for cars that are automatic or electric, even to just give you the feel, because nobody buys manuals anymore, which I think is a
It
shame.
is a shame. So
But yeah,
Detroit, because of regulations that went back before Biden, they went back, started, I guess, under Obama, to move manufacturers, American manufacturers, into electric vehicles. And I don't know how far back the mileage goals go, but I think that it seems like
they go back. They go back to the
Yeah, that's-
'70s, back to the embargo and all of that.
So that started probably Carter, I would guess.
And that's where a lot of the safety regulations, seatbelts, and all of that
Yeah.
began. Yeah.
So Detroit had been building up this electric vehicle footprint. A lot of them were what apparently the industry calls ICE cars, which is taking
Internal combustion engine.
so
yeah.
taking those existing vehicles and just turning them into EVs. But they had come up with several designs that were starting from scratch, brand new electric vehicles. And they have backed away from all of those because of this administration gutting, and in some cases flat getting rid of, those requirements that we move in that situation. So what has that done?
Well, they also, to be fair, they also got rid of the monetary incentives. They got
buyers,
they got
yeah.
rid of the rebate, for buying a clean car.
So all of this, what that has done globally is China, again, China, that used to be hated. 75% of all the electric vehicles sold in the world are coming from China. So what is that doing to American manufacturing? 5% are coming from the United States, and presumably all being sold in the United States. Mexico, that used to buy a lot of American vehicles, are buying, going up every year, but it's currently 15% of their vehicles come from China. So the gap,
Canada, Europe, everybody. Yeah.
the gap between Chinese auto manufacturing and what the U.S. used to be able to do has widened greatly. For somebody talking about, oh, we're going to bring back American manufacturing, he's decimated the auto industry, absolutely destroyed it. And as you said, we
Well,
know we're getting there eventually.
yeah, because there will be more enlightened administrations that understand the climate is changing. Look at the summer we're having. Look at the, and yes, we've had bad summers before, but this is now a constant. It's a constant pattern. It doesn't matter whether it's an El Nino or a La Nina year, it doesn't matter. It's miserable. The fires are out of control all across North America and now Europe. Holy cow, half of Europe is on fire right now. And they're not nearly as air conditioned as
No.
we are. So it's a recognition of what's going on and what the contributors are. This administration wants to take us back to the 50s when we burned coal to make electricity and our cars just cranked out CO2. And okay, I love old cars as much as the next guy, maybe more, but I would like to think that somewhere down the road, your grandchild is going to be, is it a boy or a girl? I'm trying to recall.
I've one of each, actually.
Oh, okay, okay. Well, the girl is going to get picked up for a date in an electric car.
Well, beyond that,
that's
we're talking about jobs right now.
yeah,
You know, we're talking about
yeah.
an entire industry that got bailed out once in what, 2008, I think that was, when
Yeah.
George W. Bailed him out.
W and then Obama. Yeah,
So, well, W started the whole thing right before he left,
He did.
before the election,
he did.
early that year, and gave him what at the time was a lot of money. And I think I made $17.4 billion to save an estimated 1.5 million jobs.
And that's around the time I was doing PR for General Motors, so they were staring into the abyss. And to their credit, they paid all that money
Yeah.
back. Chrysler paid all its money back when it was bailed out. So it was a good loan, and it saved jobs and it saved manufacturing. But now we're whistling past the graveyard when it comes to the
Yeah,
climate. And
the only thing Detroit's making right now are these enormous, ridiculously large trucks and SUVs.
And Trump is upset that the Europeans are not buying nearly as much of our stuff as we buy theirs, because we buy Mercedes and we buy Jags and mainly we buy VWs and so forth. Well, put a Ram pickup on an English city street, it won't fit. You'll be rubbing door handles with cars parked along the street. I mean, our stuff isn't made for countries like, members of the
Yeah.
EU, or Japan, or and so China is now cashing in on the stuff we're ignoring. They are building more. They have more wind power than maybe any other country.
They do.
And solar generation. They invested in it. They invested in EVs. BYD, which stands for Build Your Dream. By the way, that's the car company. They are the top EV maker in the world, and they're exporting them, and people are buying them, and they like them, and they're
Here's
cheaper.
the last.
They're like 20 to 25 grand.
Yeah. Here's the last number I'll throw at you. I will say, by the way, I have a cousin in Italy, in the little our ancestral town. He has a full size American pickup because he loves them. And talk about something that looks
Well-
totally out of place. And believe me, it's the only one in the province of Molise. So in 1965, Americans drove 92% American-made cars. By 2015, that had dropped below 50% for the first time ever. It was down to 46% American-made cars. Today, 33%. So only a third of the cars that Americans are driving are made in the United States.
And I'll be honest with you, Mike. I was a snotty young guy, and I would only buy European stuff early on. You know, I love English sports cars, and so forth. I bought Italians and some German stuff. But I'll be honest, I I kind of believe in buying American. I mean, buy what you want, but still, these are your neighbors. Some who was Pat Buchanan actually said to me once in an interview. He said, "If you were going to start a business, who would you hire first? You'd hire your family, and you'd hire your friends. You look after people that matter to you, and it would be nice if we encouraged our American auto industry to step up the competitiveness with foreign. We're falling behind again. We caught up on the quality front quite a while back, to be honest. American manufacturers make good stuff, but we're forgetting where the world is going.
Well, we're not.
And
We're not. We weren't forgetting it, but they have been deliberately taken off course. So it is
yeah,
creating a car crisis that didn't have to happen.
there you go. We'll wrap up that on this, and it's time for Mike's weird historical fact.
Yeah, and I wanted to talk. I got to this place. I collect sports stuff, and there are three items that I will probably never get because they are way too expensive for my tiny little budget. And that is autographed cool items from Satchel Paige, Babe Ruth, and Jackie Robinson. And I went down this little Jackie Robinson trail earlier today, and it reminded me of what I want to do for this.
I have an autographed baseball by Don Newcomb, by the
I
way.
have several Don Newcomb things, which is,
Okay,
great guy, great story. In fact,
great picture.
I have a cool letter that Don Newcomb is writing about the importance of staying in school, which
Huh.
anyway, neither here nor there. Jackie
Okay.
Robinson, when he broke the color line in baseball, it's hard to overstate, it's impossible to overstate how important that was for the nation. It really kind of gave cover for Harry Truman to desegregate the military a couple of years later. And Jackie Robinson was a civil rights icon, and then he wasn't. And the reason he was not is because he backed Richard Nixon in 1960.
Okay.
And he was convinced because JFK, who, another thing that I will happily talk about forever, overrated as a liberal, JFK did not really talk to Jackie Robinson about things that he wanted to do for civil rights, but Richard Nixon did. He actively wooed Jackie Robinson. So Robinson supported Nixon. It caused this rift. Jackie Robinson and Malcolm X had a major war of words that got pretty heated at times because Malcolm X was basically calling Jackie Robinson an Uncle Tom, of all people, Jackie Robinson. And so
Yeah.
Robinson stuck with the Republican Party and went to the convention in 64 when they nominated Barry Goldwater and left, by his own account, humiliated because of the racist stuff that they were spewing out, sometimes directly at him from other delegates. And it's a sad story, but it's one that's kind of forgotten from history. Today, Jackie Robinson is back to being the revered figure that he should be. Yeah,
Trailblazer.
as
Yeah.
this pioneer. But there was a period there in the early 60s that the black community had largely turned its back on Jackie Robinson because they thought he had turned his back on civil rights, which he never did. He basically painted it as he got duped, he got played.
Well, look, Nixon was in many ways a miserable human being, but Nixon forged our first breakthrough with China. Nixon created the EPA. Nixon EEOC. right? Am I right about? Am I
Yep,
remembering that
and I think
correctly?
the Fair Housing Act passed. It had been started under LBJ, but it passed under Nixon.
Yeah. So, you know, a broken clock is right twice a day. So, there we go. Michael, thank you, sir. I appreciate it. We're running way over. And thank all of you. Like, subscribe. This will be out in podcast, wherever you get a podcast,
Yep,
right?
drive-through podcast locations around the world. And we apparently have a huge following either in Singapore or by somebody's VPN that is claiming to be in Singapore.
Okay.
Spread the word. Tell other people.
Yeah, we need to get beyond Singapore. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. And we will see you next time for another fine mess.